Hey guys, what's happening? PS Man here. I just got out of the movie theater, saw Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen. The incredible thing, Michael Bay did a good job on this movie already. Well, it earned a lot of records on the box office hits, the #1 ever in the summer movies ever, you know? Well, I like Transformers 2 already, Revenge of the Fallen, you know? It kicked ass. And suddenly, like, Sam, the guy who plays himself as Shia LaBeouf, and the hottie called himself Megan Fox, well, she's definitely turned out to be a hottie, you know? But things that I did like about this movie, it totally rocked, you know? Well, let's start on the network called DreamWorks, you know? It's just like from the beginning, it's like movies instead, you know? Let's start about this story. Well, Sam goes to college and his parents are invited in for looking at the mansion instead of college, you know? Things I didn't like about this movie, how her mother went insane about it in college, goofing off for no reason. With marijuana, well, definitely got her high instead, you know? Oh, and things I liked about this movie, well, Megan Fox was hot on the sequels already, you know? Most definitely, I liked about her movies, you know? Oh, and most important thing, Sam already touched the rock crystal right here. It made him loose and insane about these symbols he's writing down. It made him go haywire instead, you know? And the thing, it just let him loose haywire on his head, write on these symbols for no reason, but it tells it like people can't realize what it means instead, you know? And the things I really like, how they blow up things like the one from Europe, the Paris building, even the tower from it too. Well, it really rocked too. I liked it. And another thing, the Navy ship, it got blown to smithereens instead, you know? I like how it totally rocked before. And Sam's old car is back, too. You know, definitely yellow, you know. Oh, and suddenly, the most embarrassing thing ever, and from this guy, my God, he was wearing so tight, we couldn't believe how he was wearing a thong instead, you know. People didn't realize this guy instead, how he got fired from the first Transformers instead, you know. What kind of store he works at, like a meat store or something, you know? On to that job of his instead, you know? And this story explains about the desert, you know, about archaeologists or something, but I don't know anything about Egypt or anything like that, you know? I learned about things like mummies instead. Oh, and the other thing I did like, how Megatron rose up from the dead, you know? That really resurrected him back instead. But another inclusion, you realize how they jumped from the next building after the explosion started? My God, no wonder you could jump from that deep impact about that explosion from the dust instead. You know? It was amazing, that jump instead. And the one that kicked ass, the ones from the Decepticons, how they transform every truck together for a big machine.
Destruction workers.
It sucks like a vacuum cleaner instead, you know. But it was amazing how this thing sucks in to let everything out to destroy instead. Every time they put a movie theaters like this, it shows like a Decepticon symbol instead, you know. My presentation in this movie was awesome, you know. I liked it. It had an A+ on this movie instead. And the things I didn't like about that robot chick, how she disguised herself as a human, you know? She's definitely got destroyed instead by Megan Fox, you know? But things I didn't like about is the desert. Why they had to choose the desert for? The first one was the city, you know? I like how they destroyed things about the city, you know? Like explosions, about cars destroyed, everything about this movie, you know? And let me take you back before this about Transformers 1 instead, you know? Transformers 1 was amazing instead, you know? The first Transformer movie, things I didn't like about the first movie, it was like a love team thing about something, you know? Like the love story, And also like the one from, and the things I didn't like about the movie is about the masturbation thing about it, about the mother of Sam tells him about it. What kind of embarrassing thing that is, you know? Believe me, this is just more embarrassing like watching a teenage movie loving each other, you know? Well, the first Transformers were okay, like how Megatron destroys like Optimus Prime and Megatron dies instantly. He resurrected back from himself, you know. Well, I get this movie an A-okay already, the first one. Awesome, you know. Things I didn't like about it is the desert thing, whatever, you know. And the really things I didn't like about is Michael's Bay thing. Enough with the Linkin Park thing, you know. We got it already. They always put the CD from Linkin Park. The first one, I Waste Myself, like the one from Global Warming on 2007. Like this one from 2009 already, the new Linkin Park CD already. From Transformers 2, the album. It was in stores already, you know. Well, I hope you like this movie already, but it also kicked ass. One solution, I wish this would transform into Autobots instead with a cell phone camera. Well, nothing transforms, anything like that. But the only thing I didn't like about this one, how come they transformed that particular fast or anything? I don't like how things move fast, you know? Just like how robots, just like combines like a Lego like this, you know? Just like Optimus Prime did, you know? I like how the first one, how Optimus Prime, it was resurrected back to the ancestor about the Decepticon, how he was invincible instead. I think they should include an inclusion of Alaska or New York City, you know? But why is the first one, why is the desert anyway? The desert is just so boring, you know? They have too much gas on the desert instead, you know? I explained that 4 times, why they did it in the desert in the first time, you know? Well, the first one was just a half a minute instead, you know? About doing a war zone in the desert instead. But I like the first one how they did in the city, you know? Why didn't they include New York? It was a lot of fun, you know? Besides, the ending ain't over. Megatron's still alive, you know? I wish they should make this one a part 3 out of this one, Transformers 3. Oh, and an inclusion, this turned out to be a PG-13, but turned out to be a PG rated instead, you know? Well, it had a little bit too much language about it, you know? Saying the F, like what the F or anything like that. I didn't like the roommate. That roommate was kind of like creepy instead, you know? And the end of Transformers 2, I like the one how they find out the thing about the pyramid thing or anything, but I don't know what the hell it's called that instead, you know? Well, that's it for my reviews about Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen, and the first one of Transformers instead, you know? Original one. For the 2-disc edition here, it definitely has a lot of bonuses instead, you know? Like the music video from Linkin Park, you know? Enough with the Linkin Park, Michael Bay. He had most important things to do. Well, that's include this episode of Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen and the first Transformer review already. Well, I hope you liked the movie already. Well, until then, see you next time, everyone. Enjoy then.